So why do Canadians say that my business has to invest more than we actually have to? Click here the subscribe button, set up the alert. If the content of this video is useful for you, give us a like. Okay, so here's a common complaint that I hear a lot, right? People say, well, people are asking for investment. They say we need to hire more people or we need to inject X in the company, and we don't need any of that right now to achieve success, right? And who may be asking for this investment? They're typically coming from different sources. Maybe some prospects, some potential clients that say, well, if you don't have a local office then and a local team, then we prefer not to deal with you. And you may be thinking, oh my God, what does it have to do with anything? Because it's very easy for us to deliver high quality of what they're asking, having a remote team working. Like, why does he want us to have an office and spend all this unnecessary money? Or let's say this request is coming from immigration authorities. Well, let's say they want you to have a local office, hire some local people in Canada. And as a result of all that you may end up having to have a higher than necessary payroll, like be paying employees, payroll the owners say, wow, I don't need all this salary because I have my other sources of income, but they're telling me I need to show X minimum salary, so that's all unnecessary. So why, right? So you may be thinking, why? I have valid reasons why the business does not need any of these things that the immigration department is asking me. And oh my gosh, right? They just want to make my life harder. I can function completely fine without a local office, without hiring local people. I have very competent people back home to perform the same thing. And I don't need to pay myself or this employee all this that they're asking because there's other forms of compensation. So again, they're just trying to make my life harder, asking for stuff that are not necessary. Or a third scenario could be some type of financial provider, some investor, some bank, something, right? Somebody that's providing funding for your company. And they may demand, for example, oh, but we need a physical presence. We need to tour your facilities. Well, if you're not here, it's just virtual. We cannot really deal with you because we don't understand the risk. And say, oh my gosh, that's not initially needed. You may think, I'm trying to keep my costs down. If you want me to be a responsible manager of my money, of the finances, don't you understand that by keeping my costs down, I'm actually being conservative and it's good for the finances of the business? So why you keep asking me to spend money on things that are not necessary? So that's the recurring theme I hear time and again in different contexts, different scenarios from different people, like we're saying here, and yet the entrepreneur feels that people are asking them to spend money unnecessarily. Say, like, what's wrong with these people, right? Let's look what's behind all this. Let's dig a little deeper to understand. Let's dig a little deeper to understand what's happening here, right? I know it's an exaggeration here, what I'm going to say, but have you ever heard of something called flight risk? So flight risk, it's a term that's used when someone has been accused, let's say, of a crime, right? And they're considered likely to try to escape out of the country to avoid before the trial begins, right? So they cannot be held responsible. But this term is used more broadly. So people may be considering you a flight risk. They may be thinking, well, are they going to be around? So your prospect, your client sees you that you can deliver all this, but just remotely say, well, but they don't even have an office. I don't see their people here. Like, they can just flick the switch and just disappear. And what's going to happen to me, right? Or the immigration officer, it's even more structured. They say they want to show commitment to Canada. You're putting the funds, you're hiring people and all that. Without that, you're considered a flight risk. Financial provider, same thing. It's called skin in the game by finance. It's like you have to put skin in the game. What do you stand to lose if this project doesn't go ahead? If you didn't invest much, you're not losing much. That means you can give up anytime. So why would somebody be on board with you? That's the rationale. That is what's really behind all this. By the way, this is what we do in our platform, Your Business in Canada. We take very practical, real-life situations that may be bothering you as an entrepreneur, maybe even an immigrant entrepreneur in Canada, to holding your business from developing its full potential. We take a very specific problem and we dig deeper to understand, and we give you very practical suggestions of what to do, right? We take steps by your side in this journey, and you are also part of a wider group of other people that are in this journey. So platform your business in Canada, link here in the description of this video, okay? So what is really behind all this situation here where people are asking you to put money that's not necessary? What's really behind is they don't want to see the money. Money is just a proxy. They want to see a demonstration of your commitment. It's evidence that you would be very costly for you not to follow through with your promises. If you're promising, yeah, we're gonna be here, yeah, we're gonna grow the business, they want to make sure it costs you money not to do what you're promising, right? That's it. It's a demonstration of your commitment that they're looking for. So what about the prospects, potential clients? What they're looking for? They're thinking, are you committed to the necessary infrastructure to service me? If I decide to buy from you, are you going to be there? When I have a problem, are you going to be there, right? Are you going to remain around if I want to grow with you? Because I'm choosing a supplier now and I want to make sure I have plans. I want to make sure I don't need to shop around for a different supplier next year. So can you grow with me? Or the immigration authorities may be thinking, are there short-term measurable benefits to Canada if we let you come here, right? That's what they want us to know. And that's what you need to be able to demonstrate. Yes, you want to come? Yeah, great. What's the benefit from having you here? It's not just, oh yeah, I'm going to pay taxes. Well, there's a lot of people already paying taxes. They want to know, okay, we're going to give you this type of situation, temporary permit or whatever, or permanent residency, but what is the short-term, immediate, measurable benefit that you're bringing to Canada? And the financial provider, when they're asking you to make investments or whatnot, it's typically what they call skin in the game. They want to make sure that you are committed, that you're going to suffer if this thing doesn't happen, right? And that typically suffering is losing the money that you already invested. Okay, so what can you do? What can be done in this situation, this scenario that I'm describing here? Well, there is a typical phrase that people use here, which is walk the talk. So typically people may be saying, yeah, we're going to invest this, we're going to do that. Well, you have to start to walk the talk. Put the money, make the investment. How really do you produce your forecast? You say, oh my God, but I'm gonna just put the money and what's gonna happen? Well, you can actually do that in a very organized way by producing a financial forecast, budget, knowing, justifying the amount that you're injecting just by using some Canadian financial benchmarks from similar operations, similar to yours, right? So we're providing a link here in the description, and you can see what's the staffing levels, or how much a similar operation that's similar to yours is going to be 12 months from now, how much they spend in payroll with employees, what's their cost structure, what else do they spend money on, what type of investment they make, what kind of assets the company needs to operate. All these you can see Canadian benchmarks. What's a typical Canadian company? Provided that you are doing something similar to what a Canadian business will be doing, people will trust you and say, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see this. This is in the benchmark. That's what we're doing. Okay, that makes sense. So it's important to know what is perceived by Canadians as being a serious commitment. And the best way to do that is by looking at the financial benchmarks. So there are 2 more videos here that are useful for you in this topic.